The woman you married isn't the same woman sleeping next to you today. And deep down, if you've been married for some time, you've felt it. Maybe you noticed her eyes don't shine the way they used to. Maybe her words feel colder, or her silence feels heavier. Maybe you catch yourself thinking, where did she go? Even though she's right there beside you. She changed. Not in some small, harmless way. Not in the little habits or routines, but in a way that quietly shook the ground beneath your marriage. It leaves you asking questions you never thought you'd ask. Is this really the same woman I fell in love with? Have I been blind all this time? Was it all fake? And with those questions comes the dangerous blame game. Is it her fault? Is it mine? Did I miss something? Did she betray who she was? The truth? It's neither. It's not your fault. It's not her fault. It's life. It's human nature. It's reality. People change. Time changes us all. The pressures of marriage, the weight of life, the silent expectations, they leave their mark. And unless you wake up to this truth, unless you stop pretending everything stayed the same, you'll keep living in quiet confusion, or worse, silent resentment. The kind of resentment that poisons hearts and slowly kills a marriage without a single fight. That's why today, I'm sharing the shocking truth about married women. Not to blame them, not to shame them, but to show you a reality most men never hear until it's too late. Because if you want real peace as a man, if you want real strength in your marriage, you need to hear this now. Truth. One, she doesn't fully know herself. Most women are raised in a world that teaches them who they're supposed to be before they ever figure out who they really are. From a young age, they're told, be a good daughter who listens. Be a sweet girl who doesn't cause problems. Be a supportive wife who stands by her man. Be a perfect mother who puts her family first. And every time they put someone else's needs before their own, they get praised. They're called caring, selfless, good. But the moment they speak up for what they want, they're called selfish, difficult, ungrateful. So, they learn how to play a role not just for others, but even for themselves. They learn how to smile when they're supposed to smile, how to agree when they're supposed to agree, how to keep giving even when their heart feels empty. And when a woman brings this into marriage, it becomes part of her daily life. She notices when you're happy, and she adjusts herself to keep you that way. She senses when you're upset, and she softens herself to avoid conflict. She becomes who she thinks you need, even if it means hiding who she really is. At first, it seems natural. It even feels like love. But inside, a slow change begins. The woman who laughs at your jokes, who listens to your problems, who stands beside you in every challenge. She starts feeling like a character in a play instead of the real person she once was. And the scariest part is, she may not even see it happening. She's worn the mask for so long, it feels normal. Then, one day, you notice her growing quieter. She seems distant even though nothing obvious has happened. You ask her what's wrong. She says, nothing. But it's not nothing. It's the weight of years of ignoring her own voice. It's the silent build-up of every thought, dream, and feeling she pushed aside to become who the world expected her to be. And when a woman loses herself, she can't give her heart fully. She can't pour her love into the marriage, because she's running on empty inside. And it's not just her who suffers. The relationship suffers too. Because no marriage can survive when one person is only showing a version of themselves. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, said we must be patient with others and strict with ourselves. So maybe, instead of blaming her for changing or hoping she'll go back to who she was, It's time to create space. Space for her to stop performing. Space for her to rediscover her voice. Space for her to grow, even if that growth feels unfamiliar to you. Because if you really love her, you won't hold on to the version of her that made you comfortable. You'll support the version of her that's trying to come alive again. And maybe in walking that road with her, you'll both find a deeper love, a stronger connection, and a marriage built on truth. Not just performance. Truth. Too, she needs to feel admired, not just loved. Most men grow up believing that love is the answer to everything in a relationship. Tell her you love her. Stay faithful. Work hard. Be there. And yes, those things matter, but they're not enough. Because a woman can feel loved and still feel invisible. You might be showing love in the way you know how, by providing, by protecting, by staying present. But what she's craving isn't just love. It's admiration. She wants to feel seen, not just as your wife, not just as the mother of your children, but as a woman. She wants to be recognized for her strength, not just her support. She wants you to notice how much effort it takes to keep everything together, even on the days she makes it look easy. She wants you to care about her thoughts, not just hear her words. She wants you to value her ideas, not just nod politely. She wants you to watch her grow and actually be impressed by who she's becoming. Because when a woman feels admired, something changes in her. Her face lights up. Her energy shifts. Her walls come down. But when admiration disappears, when "I love you" becomes something you just say in passing, when her effort goes unnoticed, when her mind is overlooked, she starts to shut down. Not because she's ungrateful, not because she doesn't love you back, but because no one, not even the strongest woman, can keep giving from a place where she doesn't feel seen. Admiration is different from love. Love says, "I care about you." Admiration says, "I see greatness in you." And that makes all the difference. The Stoics said, "We suffer more from imagination than reality." And too many men imagine that their quiet loyalty is enough to hold everything together. But the reality is that if you stop admiring her, someone else might. Someone who listens closer. Someone who pays attention. Someone who doesn't take her for granted. And it's not about fear. It's about wisdom. A woman doesn't want to feel like she's just there filling a role, doing her duty, fading into routine. She wants to feel treasured, seen, respected, not just for who she was when you met her, but for who she's fighting to become. So when you look at her, don't just see your wife. See the warrior, the thinker, the dreamer. And when you admire her, not because you should, but because you genuinely do, you give her something love alone can't give. The feeling of being truly valued. And that's what keeps her heart close. Not obligation, not routine, but the power of being seen and celebrated by the man she chose. Truth. 3. She's lonely, even with you. Most people assume that when a married woman feels lonely, it's because her husband stopped loving her. They think love alone is what keeps loneliness away. But the truth is, loneliness doesn't always come from a lack of love. It often comes from a lack of being truly heard. A woman can be surrounded by her family, sharing a home, sharing a life, and yet still feel completely alone inside. Why? Because over time, she learns to carry her deepest thoughts quietly. Her dreams, her worries, her doubts. The things she once felt safe sharing, she now keeps them tucked away in silence. Not because you stopped caring, not because she stopped trusting you, but because somewhere along the way, marriage stopped being a place for curiosity. In the beginning, you asked her questions. You wanted to know her world. You listened with real interest, not just to her words, but to her heart. But slowly, you started assuming you already knew her answers. You thought, I know what she's going to say. Or, she probably doesn't want to talk right now. And little by little, she thought the same about you. So the conversations became shallow. The deep talks faded away. Not because of a fight, not because of anger, but because of something more dangerous: indifference. That's how loneliness sneaks into a marriage. Not loudly, but quietly, in the silent spaces where real connection used to live. Seneca said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment of them." And maybe you've been judging her quietness the wrong way. Maybe you thought she was cold, distant, losing interest. But maybe she's just been waiting for you to care again. Waiting for you to ask, like you used to. Waiting for you to listen, not to fix, not to correct, but just to hear her. Sometimes a woman doesn't want advice. She doesn't want answers. She just wants to know she's still worth hearing, that her heart still matters to you. And when you give her that space, when you open the door for her voice again, you don't just take away her loneliness. You breathe life back into your marriage. Because it's not love alone that keeps a marriage strong. It's the ongoing choice to know each other and to never stop being curious about the person you chose. The Stoic reminder: your wife is not your enemy. She's not standing on the other side of your marriage trying to tear it apart. She's not some puzzle you need to solve. And she's definitely not broken. She's a human being, flawed, changing, growing just like you. But here's what most men forget. She's not the same woman you married. And that's not a betrayal. That's life. Because truth be told, you're not the same man either. Life has a way of shaping all of us. The weight of responsibility, the pressure of providing, the silent battles nobody sees, the dreams fulfilled and the ones that fell apart. All of it changes you. All of it changes her. So the real question isn't, why did she change? Or worse, what happened to the woman I married? The real question is, am I willing to grow with her, or will I fight against her growth? Because the man who tries to hold on to the past, the man who demands that his wife stays the exact same woman forever, that man will always end up disappointed, bitter, and alone. But the man who embraces the reality that both people are always changing, who accepts that growth is messy and love is a living thing, that man builds a marriage that stands the test of time. The Stoics taught us you don't control the storm. You learn how to sail through it. And real strength? It's not forcing your wife to stay who she was when you married her. It's learning how to love the woman she's becoming, even if she's different than the woman you first fell for. It's choosing to grow with her, even when it challenges you. Because when you do that, you don't just protect your marriage. You protect your own heart. You stop losing your relationship before it's too late. And in the process, you stop losing yourself to fear, control, or bitterness. That's real manhood. That's wisdom. That's what Stoicism was always about: mastering yourself, not controlling others. And in the end, that's what keeps love alive when everything else around you changes. If this opened your eyes, if it made you see your marriage, your wife, or even yourself a little differently, then don't just move on like it was another video. Hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss more real, honest conversations about relationships, marriage, and life as a man. And if you're serious about stepping up, not with control, but with wisdom, type the word strength in the comments. Because in a world full of men chasing control, chasing power, chasing validation, the strongest man is the one who controls himself, the one who leads with patience instead of pride, The one who listens before he speaks. The one who understands before he judges. That's the kind of strength your marriage needs. That's the kind of strength your family needs. And honestly, that's the kind of strength the world is starving for. So if this message hit home, stand up, speak up, and choose to be that man. Because real strength isn't about controlling women, it's about mastering yourself. And that choice starts with you.